Albert Einstein was smart, no questions asked, but it got us thinking about what it actually means to be smart. I mean, people often ask Greg and I how to be smarter or how we in our own day-to-day lives try to be more intelligent.
The definition of intelligence is the ability to acquire but also apply knowledge and skills. It's not about just absorbing information, it's about taking it in and then also applying it to the things around you and not having it just go in one ear and out the other. So when I was a teacher in the classroom and we had to assess students' intelligence, we had to ensure that we were understanding which student could make connections. It's why the last question on most tests, the hardest one, is about you taking all the information you've learned and applying it in a new context. Therefore, being intelligent is not isolated to people who are in science or in physics. Just because you do those fields does not mean that you are necessarily more intelligent. There are people who are emotionally intelligent and know a lot about themselves and other humans and are able to build relationships more effectively. Those people are using their knowledge and applying it in a different way.
We actually always hear about this all the time. You hear about people being book smart or street smart, but there's more levels to it than that. When I was in university, one of my professors put up on a screen a picture of a landscape that had some trees, some grass, and said, write down all the different things that you notice in this picture that you find significant. So everyone in class wrote these down. And then afterwards, he had us see how many things we had actually written down and pointed out that somebody who's indigenous, who lives off the land, probably would have noticed maybe 2 to 3 times more things in this picture because their brains have literally been trained and know how to evaluate a landscape at a level that we actually don't. So as a young person, for example, I might be really good at computers, and then when I look to my parents, I'm like, how are you so dumb? Why can't you just do that? But really, they just have a different type of intelligence. They've been exposed to different things. And so in that way, we can see that intelligence is kind of a moving target that depends on your life experience and the way that, again, you take in information and apply it.
Being an expert at something is great. It's also extremely important, but having a broad understanding of different things can help your brain grow, and it can create new neuronal activities that actually make you more well-rounded. I feel like so much of science requires the ability to be creative, and in order to flex those creative muscles, you need to be thinking of other things. You need to be painting, doing music, reading, talking to people, and all of those little things that you don't necessarily realize are contributing so much to your ability to understand and appreciate science are.
Einstein actually said that if he wasn't a scientist, he probably would have been a musician because he often thought in terms of music. And I feel the exact same way, not to compare myself too much to Einstein in any way, but I feel like in my early years, I actually thought I was gonna be a musician. I loved playing piano, I liked being in musicals, and it was just not only a way for me to express myself, but a way for me to learn about the world in an emotional way, a way that I couldn't necessarily articulate, I could feel through music. And so I feel like for people out there, being intelligent is actually amplified by crossing your interests and understanding that art can actually influence your science understanding and science can influence your art understanding.
So a stereotypical nerdy person with glasses is not the way every smart person looks. And if you do happen to be a more nerdy person, that's not a bad thing, but it's just about people outside of that understanding and having confidence and realizing that every single person can be intelligent. For me, when I was in science class, I didn't necessarily fit in. I was a little bit disruptive, a lot disruptive. I was extremely flamboyant. I was interested in art, and a lot of the time, there were people who were challenging me and saying that, this was not where I was supposed to be. Literally, my physics professor kicked me out of physics because I talked too much, but also because I really genuinely think he didn't think I belonged there. Even Einstein was told that school was not for him, so do not let anyone ever tell you that being in school or learning is something that you can't do.
Greg and I found our interest in science because we wanted to understand the world as a whole. I honestly think that the most interesting or most useful thing we learned from university was how to learn, how to think critically, more importantly. And those things don't have to be learned in school, but that's definitely what we took away from it. So if you want to learn, then I think you're smart.